Hello, I'm Scott Bogey here with Thomas Gantt ahead of his fight against Josh Henry on November 30th. How are you doing today?
Good, man. Glad to be on, man. Thanks for having me.
No worries. And how has the training camp been for this fight?
It's been pretty good for the most part. So as you know, I'm an assistant coach at D1 University.
Yeah,
So most of my training's primarily been wrestling, but it's been pretty good so far. Just kind of fine tuning things these last couple of weeks, and then yeah, we'll be ready, man. On the 30th, we'll be ready.
and you have been very active this year. You've had
Mhm.
three amateur fights, seven pro fights. What turned and made you stay as active as you are?
Oh man, I honestly got to give credit to my coach slash manager slash mentor. Guy named Jerry Boyle. He kind of mapped out the plan for me, and I just kind of believed in him and trusted in what he had planned for me, and it's just kind of been working out, man.
So
That's pretty much it.
did you come into this year knowing you're just going to have as many fights as what you have?
No, I honestly didn't, man. I didn't. I literally. So, man, a little bit about me, man. I got three kids. I'm a coach. Do some little stuff on the side, so I'm kind of all over the place. So I kind of need a guy to be on me, like, hey, you're doing this at this point in time, and then you're doing this. So I really didn't know much about what I was gonna be doing this year. And then look up in November, I'm like, dang, man, I'm 7-0, and I fought 300 fights this year. So
Exactly. And you've also, I can't remember, like August or July, where you had four fights week after week after week. How how was that?
uh honestly, man, I don't even remember, dude. I was literally just waking up, training, going to work, train, see the kids, go to sleep, literally. And then he was like, "Hey, we're leaving Thursday." I'm like, "All right, hey, we're leaving Wednesday this time." I'm like, all right, I was just kind of getting through it, man. But I mean, the goal, man, is obviously to win the major title in the major organization, hopefully UFC. But so with that being said, you got to kind of challenge yourself and push yourself in different ways, and getting that adversity, like fighting four times back to back like that, is kind of something you got to do on a regional scene. I think, at least in my mind, to be ready for that next level. You know what I mean?
And I know it's normally November. I would normally ask early January, February if you'd be back in the cage, but I'm guessing there's a chance you could get a fight in December. What's your thinking?
That's not the plan. So the plan is to probably fight first quarter next year because we're in the middle of wrestling season now. We're not in the middle, but we're just getting started.
Yeah.
So this is probably gonna be my last fight till probably about April, Mayish. So that's the next time I'll be in the cage after this weekend or after a couple weeks from now.
A well-deserved rest after a busy start of the year.
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, getting after it.
And do you feel like what your record have shown you, obviously over the seven fights, only one of them has been a decision. Do you feel
Mhm.
like that has proven to even a potential contender series fight next year?
I'd like to think so. I usually kind of have a game plan going into things. And for that fight, it was to fill the full 15 minutes and kind of just put the guy through a lot of different transitions and stuff like that. And that's kind of what we were working on that entire camp or the couple of weeks leading up to it. And I just kind of executed. But hopefully so, man. Either that or just getting signed straight up.
And in that last fight against Cody Grillo, you did be able to get the victory due to a second ring guillotine choke. Do you remember
Mm.
how the fight was going up until that point for you?
Um, I think I was pretty dominant leading up to that. I made it my business to kind of stand and kind of get in the fire a little bit with that guy. Because at the end of the day, if you want to be in this business, you got to be able to
Yeah.
take a punch. Not saying that you want to get hit all the time, but you got to be able to take a punch. So in my mind, I was like, all right, I'm going to stand with this guy and get a little bit of experience on the feet and whatnot. I think he hit me with a couple shots, but nothing damaging at all. And then the second round, I was just like, all right, it's time to push the pace and kind of get him out of there, you know. But really tough opponent though, man. Cody's a savage, man. A lot of
Exactly.
fights, a
And
lot of experience.
yeah, exactly. About to bring that up. He has got over a lot of experience. I think it's over 40 fights.
Yeah,
Do you feel like have being able to defeat someone that's seen it all has just makes that victory even more special?
yeah, it does, man. It does. I mean, not that I needed any confidence, but you
Yeah.
could definitely draw confidence from a fight like that. Being that I've only been fighting for a year and a half, and this guy's been fighting since when I was in high school. You know what I mean? And kind of seeing where I'm at compared to where I was a year ago when I first started, or a year and a half ago when I started.
And it'd be safe to say that your life kind of evolved around fighting. You have this training, you have your coaching, you have, like you're
Mm-hmm.
saying, you're going to take, yeah, you're not going to have a fight, but you're in the wrestling season. You're going to be able to look into that. So would
Mm-hmm.
you say that your life evolved around the fighting world?
Yeah, man, and honestly, I didn't even know it when I was getting into it because I thought I was when I first started wrestling at 12, man, I thought it was WWE. And then I
Yeah.
went in there and then it was real wrestling. I was like, oh, okay. And I didn't really know how I would use it as my life progressed. And then after I stopped wrestling internationally, I was just kind of like, oh, let me see how this works out. Take the first amateur fight and things worked out. I was boxing probably 2, 3 times a week at that point, not really doing any like striking or kickboxing or Muay Thai or anything like that. Things just kind of fell into place, man. I was like, yeah, I like this, man.
And has the coaching aspect helped develop your game?
Oh, it's helped a lot, man. So the guy I was telling you about earlier, he kind of does everything for me, man. He learns me, mentors me, he coaches me, so he's kind of like all in one. But it helps me out a lot because my schedule's all over the place. So I may be at work at 6 a.m. and then we may be training at 12. I'm back at work. Then I'm taking my kid to gymnastics, so I'm kind of all over the place. So if I didn't have him, it'd be kind of hard to get training in. So it's helped me out and worked out tremendously.
And how has the wrestling helped your overall game? Because obviously you work wrestling in university. How was that
Mhm.
experience?
Oh man, honestly, I'm not sure if I'd be fighting if it wasn't for wrestling, man. I think the mentality it gives us, the work ethic it gives you, and just the just mental fortitude and the drive, man. It's kind of like bar none. Like I've been around a lot of martial arts at this point now, a year and a half. And I say wrestling is like top tier, man. We do everything correct, like across the board. Not just us. I mean, like from the worst programs in the country to the best programs in the country. Everybody trains correctly. It's just that grit or that mentality that kind of separates everybody.
So would you say that wrestling, having that wrestling background is probably the best way to start a martial arts career?
Oh, yeah, I would say me personally. Somebody else may
Yeah.
think differently, but I think me personally, that's probably the best route to go. Because once you do that, everything else you can learn, and everything else is a little bit easier. Because you can't like some of these guys train 3 times a day. I train 3 times a day sometimes, doing different stuff like jujitsu, striking, boxing. You ain't training 3 times a day if you're going to wrestling practice. That ain't happening.
Yeah. And like you're saying, it is a wrestling season. How big is that over in the States?
Oh, it's huge, man. It's huge. I wouldn't say as big as over in like Russia or anything like that, but it's a real mainstream thing over here in the USA, man. Not
And
that a
do
lot of people watch it, but there's a lot of
yeah.
participants.
And like people like in the UFC, I think it's Carl Williams and
Mhm.
Mukayev, they have stated that they were kicked out of the UFC because of a heavily wrestling background. Do you feel like it more wasn't that, but more the way that they were executing the wrestling? They were just holding on, they weren't trying to find the submissions.
Yeah, man. I think at the end of the day, man, if you get to the UFC, they're your bosses. So
Yeah,
you gotta kind of play to you gotta appease them. You know what I'm saying? And if they want to see knockouts or people get mauled on top, that's what you got to do. You know what I mean? So not saying that because you got to look at guys like Khabib. Khabib mauled people, man. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like DC, same thing. DC kind of mauled people when they got on top. Jones mauled people when they got on top. So you just got to look to do damage, man, and look to finish fights. And I think once you do that, you'll be fine with those guys. They never complain about guys finishing fights. So obviously that's the thing to shoot for. That's the goal. You know what I mean?
exactly. And you will be 8-0 after this fight. Are you looking for that title fight next?
Say it one more time.
So you'll be 8-0 after this victory. Are you looking to try and get another title under your belt?
Oh man, I honestly just kind of take what's in front of me, man. I don't obviously the regional titles are cool, but at the end of the day, man, the UFC goal the
Yeah,
pinnacle at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So the regional titles are cool. I want that real goal. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, that's my goal. So
exactly. And obviously, with America, there is a lot of good promotions around there. You have Fury FC in
Mm,
Texas, you have LFA, Cage Fury. If one of them was to offer you a multi-fight deal with the opportunity of going to the UFC if they called you up, would
mm.
you take that or are you happy with your one fight deals just now?
Oh, no, honestly, once again, I haven't even thought about it, man. I kind of let my management handle that stuff, but I'm pretty much open to anything, man. Whatever the quickest path to get there is what I'm open to. So if that's the quickest path to get there, then so be it. If something
And
else is an option, then that's what probably what's going to happen.
And you do fight in the welterweight division. Is there anyone in that welterweight in the UFC that you are looking to either make your debut against or a matchup in there you're wanting to have in the future?
I'm actually gonna be cutting. I'm actually a lightweight, man. I walk around at probably 74. I just had to fight so much, and I couldn't make 155 week in, week out like that. So I just kind of took what I could get. But at 55, I think a first good fight would be somebody like Charlie Campbell or something like that. I seen him talking crazy to one of the goats of our sport in the cage, so I'd like to humble a guy like that. So somebody like that would be a good first fight or two.
And do you feel like their friendships shouldn't? Do you like the idea of friendships in the UFC? Obviously, with in the bantamweight division, you had I think of Merab and Aljo, they
Mm-hmm.
had their thing of Merab wouldn't challenge while Aljo is the
Mm-hmm.
champion. You
Yeah.
have Islam saying he's not going to try and go for double champ while Bial
Mm-hmm.
is the champion.
Yeah.
What is your take on that?
I'm the same way, man. I think loyalty is the most important characteristic that a human can have nowadays. So I don't think there's ever any amount of money or any chase for legacy that would make me fight one of my friends. Luckily, I don't have that many friends in the sport, but if I did have a guy that I trained with or I was close to, I wouldn't go after him. I wouldn't fight him, me personally. Now, if he challenges me, that's a whole other thing, and then you aren't as close as you thought you were. But if it's my buddy or one of my guys, I wouldn't challenge him. I wait till he moved up or retired or something like that.
Exactly. And obviously, is it correct in saying you train at Jaybreaker Boxing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's where I currently train. That's where I started at. When I took my first amateur fight, I was training with Coach Remy Fullwood. He's a man, by the way, great, exceptional boxing coach, and he got my striking majority of it to where it is now. So credit to him for that.
And how important is a support system within the fighting community?
Oh, it's really important, man. If you don't have good training, man, you kind of behind the eight ball. Because everybody's getting better now, and they're getting what they need from each specific discipline. So you got to have top tier training, man. If you're not, you're kind of not maximizing all your resources. You know what I mean?
And I'm guessing you kind of need to have that support system for when you're having what, like, let's just say an off day or a down day to pull you back up to keep you motivated to get on track.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And how does like a weight cut normally look for you? Like when do you normally start the dieting? What do you try and look to be on the weigh-in day?
Mhm. So for 70 is different, man. Like I told you, I walk around at
Yeah.
74, 75. I'll start cutting maybe if weigh-in is a Friday, maybe Wednesday or something like that. Tuesday or Wednesday, because I only got to get 5 pounds of water weight off, so it's kind of easy. But I think for Montreal, I made 160 or like 159.8 or something like that. That was probably a 4 week process. So it's not crazy, but it's not fun at the same time. So generally about 45 pounds a week, man, is what I like to do. And then the day of, I think I was 3 over when I went to the gym. I went to the gym at like 2 o'clock. Weigh-ins were at 4. I got my weight off at 3:30. I was down, and then I went over to weigh in and then weighed in. That's pretty much it, man. Next day, ready to scrap.
And what do you feel like has been your toughest test so far?
That's a tough one, man. That's a tough one. I got a no contest against this guy, Kyle Wright. And
Yeah.
the fight was kind of challenging. Not in like a not in a way that I was losing or anything like that, but he just refused to kind of be held down, and I just kept taking him down and holding him down. But there was like an inadvertent foul or something like that. He put his head in my glove, and I need him, and they called it a no contest. But I'd say probably that one, man. I was getting push a little bit, but nothing too crazy.
And what's your take on obviously the rules have now changed? You're now able to knee a grounded opponent. The 12-6 elbow is now legal. What's your take on all this?
Oh, I like it, man. I plan on being on top, and being aggressive. So that kind of plays to my favor. I will say though, it is a brutal sport, man. That kind of makes it a little more grueling. But once again, that's for the defensive guy to worry about it. The guy that's getting taken down or written out. That's on him.
And do you feel like one of the reasons that those rules changed was because obviously to another thing apart from the 12-6 elbow, there's not much difference between 12-6 on like a 1 or an 11.
Yeah, I agree, man. All those elbows are rough. But I think you can generate a little bit more power from 12 to 6, but I think they're all rough. So now I guess it's open season, man.
And what do you feel like is your biggest strength?
Uh, I'd probably say my ability to chain things together. I kind of mesh things together a little bit. I think I do a good job of that. Obviously, I got some improving to do,
Yeah.
of course, to be the champion of the UFC, but that's a challenge that I'm willing to take on. And once we get rolling, I think we get rolling.
And do you feel like obviously you said earlier on Charlie Campbell is a good start to the UFC. What do you feel like your strength is in this fight over Charlie?
Man, I haven't even seen him fight. I just know my coach told me. He was like, check this dude's last interview out when he was talking crazy to DC. He's like, because we're all wrestlers. It's a tight knit community, so obviously I know him and he knows me. And then I was like, oh, that's crazy, man. He was talking kind of wild. So kind of want to humble a guy like that for the
Well,
community's sake, if you will.
exactly. And I know it would be a great fight to watch, and I know you'll go out there against Josh and get that victory. Is
Yeah.
there anything else you're wanting to add or anything you're wanting to shout out?
Nah, man, I'm looking forward to competing in a couple weeks, man. Henry's a solid opponent, and I'm looking to showcase my skills, man. Show the evolution of TG, you know?
Exactly. And I know you'll be able
Yeah.
to do that and get that victory. And I wish you the best of luck.
Hey, I appreciate you, man.